Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies. Inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Welcome back, Midnight viewers, to Father Malone's Weekly Roundup. I'm Father Malone, and with me, as always, is my own personal alien stomper, Ripley. Any words for the upcoming onslaught of xenomorphs? Whoa! Oh, no, I know you can do it. But you gotta remember, they have acid for blood. Keep it in mind. You know, I have a theory. You can tell how good an alien movie is by the potency of its acid blood. Think about it. And we're thinking about Alien quite a bit around here. What with the release this weekend of Alien Romulus, I've seen it. Ripley has not. They weren't going to let you in this time. There's only so many times I can sneak you past the same goddamn usher. Plus, you go bananas every time you see an alien. Or an android, for that matter. This movie has plenty of both. So this is going to be a weird episode, gang. I'm always striving to get you the latest on the latest releases, and this flick just happened to coincide with recordings by my fellow Weirding Way Media podcast friends, The Projection Booth and The Kulturecast, which should be no surprise to regular listeners of this show that those are hosted by Midnight Viewing co-hosts Mike White and Chris Stachiw, respectively. I usually just guest on one of their shows, but since we're a weekly now, thank you, by the way, to everyone for listening. The ratings are significantly up, and it's nothing but appreciation from me. Anyway, since we're a weekly, we're now primed for crossover episodes, and this is our first. So at the end of the usual nonsense of picks by Ripley and myself, we'll be talking Alien Romulus, so stay tuned. You want to go first? Okay, cool, because I love your choice. In keeping with the Alien theme, we're going back to the source in both of our choices. And both of our films, like Alien, sprung from the mind of writer, director, actor, producer, and all-around weirdo Mr. Dan O'Bannon. Now, if you listen to our Anthology's Attack episode about heavy metal, we talked quite a bit about Mr. O'Bannon, and I encourage you to check that episode out. Okay, Dan O'Bannon. He was born and raised in St. Louis, Missouri, and attended USC Film School in the early 70s, where he co-wrote and produced the visual effects for and starred in a short science fiction film that was eventually expanded and released as a feature. That was Dark Star, and it was co-written and directed by John Carpenter. During this time, O'Bannon was working on a spec script called Star Beast, which would eventually become Alien. Not only did he provide the original screenplay for that film, O'Bannon provided the most important piece of the xenomorph puzzle, the one that made the alien such an enduring character. While working as a special effects supervisor on Alejandro Jodorowsky's aborted Dune film, O'Bannon had made the acquaintance of Swiss artist H.R. Giger. When it came time to make Alien, there was only one artist in O'Bannon's mind who could design that creature. However, O'Bannon had to pay Giger out of pocket for those alien designs because the film's producers didn't want them. In 1979, O'Bannon's living in Los Angeles, Alien had just premiered, Heavy Metal was in production, and he was working on a script that would eventually become Total Recall. During this period, O'Bannon noticed the increased presence of LAPD helicopters in the skies above. The frequency of their patrols spurred him to write the film we're discussing tonight. It's about an attack helicopter the U.S. government is testing out, and the LAPD pilot chosen to put the aircraft through its paces in an urban environment. The helicopter's nickname is the film's title, Blue Thunder.
What brings you to air support?
Kind of like the idea of it. No guns, no kicking in doors, just quiet.
Oh, yeah.
For Frank Murphy, policing the air has its ups
Welcome to air support.
and downs.
Got a runaway.
I just wanted to say, sir, that was my fault. I talked Murphy into taking us there.
You're supposed to be stupid, son. Don't abuse the privilege.
Roy Scheider is Frank Murphy, a lone wolf.
Freeze! Bozo, how many regulars come in the front door with a key?
Who's about to become a guinea pig.
I thought it was illegal to arm police helicopters. Well, that would depend on the circumstances, wouldn't it?
Columbia Pictures presents Blue Thunder, a flying arsenal that hears through walls, sees in the dark, and thinks your thoughts.
Wherever you look, the guns follow.
It was designed for war-torn countries.
One civilian dead for every 10 terrorists. That's an acceptable ratio. Unless you're one of the civilians.
It was assigned to American cities.
You're talking about crowd control from the air?
That's what this special detail is all about.
They told Murphy to test it. They didn't tell him what it was for.
Dozen of these coppers and you could run the whole damn country.
Who was behind it?
Where are we?
Federal building.
Really? Hey, you want to find out what's going on in there?
Certainly do.
Hey, you gotta do me a favor. I want you to pick up a package for me.
Why they chose him?
He's totally unsuitable for our purpose.
Don't stop for anything or anybody.
Or why they changed their minds.
Turn the face over, go on fire. I never saw this guy before in my life. Come on, let's go.
Well, not so fast. That's government property. Give me that.
But when Murphy went looking for answers,
Got all this on tape?
I got every word of it.
Gets back to me, I'll deny it.
the answer came looking for him. They had the ultimate weapon and the perfect plan, but Murphy stole their thunder.
Directed by John Badham, whom I used to think of as a journeyman filmmaker, but now, having seen all of his early experimental stuff on Night Gallery, I've been happy to reappraise his work, and I believe he is really unsung. The action he's able to capture in this film ought to sit alongside the works of Michael Mann, or Michael Bay for that matter. Roy Scheider lends the film a sense of gravity heavier than the moon as pilot Frank Murphy. He's paralleled by Warren Oates, who manages to obliterate the stereotypical angry captain character, actually making him someone with depth and humanity. Warren Oates, basically. Murphy has a trainee partner in the form of baby-faced Daniel Stern, and the heavy of the film is Malcolm McDowell, who's playing a U.S. military representative who is making no effort to disguise his regular English accent. It doesn't compute, but it really doesn't matter because he is great. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the other film from 1983 that starred Daniel Stern and Malcolm McDowell. Weird coincidence, but that film is Alan Arkish's rock and roll comedy Get Crazy, which recently came out on Blu-ray, and you should definitely go pick it up right now. I know, I'm shameless, so what? Ripley's pointing out that I'm only recommending the movie because I happen to appear in a documentary on that disc, but that is not true. I'm in the documentary because I love that movie and I want everyone to see it, so go pick it up and get crazy. Anyway, Murphy is chosen to test out the capabilities of the most badass-looking helicopter ever made. It's boxy, and it's long, and it's weird-looking. It kind of looks kit-bashed, the way the old special effects guys would take model kits and just slam a whole bunch of random parts together onto other models, creating something new. Blue Thunder is big and unwieldy, and I fucking love it. They'd ripped this movie off a year or two later with a show called Airwolf. They had a more streamlined, contoured, aerodynamic, futuristic helicopter, and it sucked. Speaking of spin-off series, Blue Thunder was turned into a short-lived hour-long drama with James Farentino replacing Roy Scheider and Daniel Stern replaced with Dana Carvey. It's wild. Murphy uncovers a plot to use the helicopter for urban pacification. The group behind it has been murdering its opposition, so he steals the copter and tries to get out word about these baddies. What follows is a series of jaw-dropping aerial dogfights with jets and police helicopters and military choppers, all above the streets of Los Angeles. It's all practical, it's all real, it's all spectacular. And it's a spectacular film, but it gets even better when you take into account Dan O'Bannon's first draft. Almost everything in the movie occurs exactly as it does in that script, except, over the course of the film, Frank Murphy is slowly losing his mind. So in the end, when he steals the helicopter, it has nothing to do with heroism or exposing a government plot or an attempt to keep the government from pacifying the public with a military helicopter. No. Frank loses his mind entirely and becomes an ultimate villain doing very bad things with Blue Thunder. Apparently, it was written because that increased air presence by the LAPD was really disturbing to Mr. O'Bannon. He found it to be an enormous invasion of privacy. At least terrestrial police were bound by the property lines. Writing Blue Thunder was his way of hitting back at them, and in typical Hollywood fashion, they gave it a happy ending. But it works. Either way, the movie works. Blue Thunder, gang. Go get it. Excellent choice. No, you're not getting belly rubs for it. Ripley is of late obsessed with belly rubs. She just figured out that it's a thing. Anyway, we're going to go into my choice, my Dan O'Bannon choice for this week, and then we'll head on over to the projection booth and Kulturecast. Prior to 1968, if you were to think of a zombie, it would have been a revivified corpse under the sway of a voodoo priest or priestess. They were mindless undead drones doing the bidding of living masters. But as the majority of societal norms began to crumble in those late 60s, so too did the image of what a zombie could be, and that's thanks to George A. Romero and his film Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
As it turns out, they were coming for all of us. Prior to 1985, the number of films with the zombie menace can be clocked in at 70, about 70. Since then, there have been some 500 zombie feature films. That doesn't take into consideration comic books, novels, television shows, all dedicated to the 21st century's first genuine boogeyman, the zombie. Why did I mention 1985 and what's happened since then? Well, I'll tell you. Because on August the 16th, 1985, The Return of the Living Dead was released.
In the dark of the night, something strange is going on.
You see that movie, Night of the Living Dead? Sure. They ship those bodies. Well, say hello.
The dead have risen from the grave.
Mister, there's 100 of those things
How many did you say?
100. And now the question is, how do we get them back into the ground?
Bert, Frank, we have a little problem.
4 left, 10 right.
It's all over everything! Stupid asshole! Watch your tongue, boy, if you like this job! Like this job!
Brain! Medical science is back.
And it's a puzzle. Because technically, you're not alive.
Why do you eat people?
Not people. Brains.
How do you kill something that's already dead?
Well, how do I know, Fred? I don't know. Let me think.
It's not a bad question, Bert.
In that movie, they destroyed the brain to kill him. Is that what they did?
The brains, right!
Brains!
Brain! The brain! I hit the brain! Oh! Get it off! 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 Get it off!
The military is nervous.
How was your day?
Usual crap.
The police are confused.
Send more cops.
It worked in the movie! Well, it ain't working now. Bring the movie line!
It's not a bad question, Bert. It's not a bad question, Bert. It's not a bad question, Bert.
The return of the living dead.
Before we dig into this movie, we have to go back to Romero and Night of the Living Dead. When that film wrapped, the film's co-writers, George A. Romero and John Russo, made an agreement that they would each be allowed to produce their own separate sequels. Romero went on to create the masterpiece Dawn of the Dead, which was a continuation of the zombie outbreak through the eyes of all new protagonists. Russo would later collaborate with 2 other Night of the Living Dead alumni, Russ Streiner and Rudy Ricci. They created a script and a novel entitled Return of the Living Dead, which was set 10 years after an isolated zombie outbreak as it begins to occur again, and it also features returning characters and locations from Night of the Living Dead. You can still find the novel. I have one. The script is another story. That was purchased by a fella named Tom Fox, who intended to make it as a film in 3D with Tobe Hooper directing. That's Texas Chainsaw Massacre's Tobe Hooper. But when a delay in production occurred, Tobe Hooper had to move on because he was already committed to make the sci-fi vampire flick Life Force. Left with no director, Fox turned to Life Force's screenwriter, Dan O'Bannon. Now, O'Bannon balked at the idea of rewriting a script that took place entirely in a world that had been shaped and shepherded by George Romero. That's a professional courtesy that most would seem to just abandon in later years. Looking at you, Robert Kirkman. Anyway, O'Bannon chose to take the zombies in a whole new direction, simultaneously commenting on what had come before and creating a whole new fresh mythology. In this world, Night of the Living Dead is a film which was based on real events that took place at a Pittsburgh VA hospital involving the 2,4,5-trioxin chemical and its ability to resurrect the dead. A group of punkers go to pick up their friend from his new job at a medical supply warehouse, which is situated in a burnt-out section of Louisville at the end of a dead-end street beside a cemetery and a mortuary. The medical supply place has the corpses because they were shipped there in some sort of army snafu. And of course, those canisters get opened, releasing the trioxin and the zombies, and the whole thing spirals down into darkness in a plot that precipitates the end of the world. And if all that isn't tense enough, O'Bannon's zombies are unlike nearly every incarnation before or since. Destroying their brain has no effect at all. These zombies are vocal, they're fast, they're smart, and they're hungry. Listen, I could go on for hours and hours about this film, but we've got aliens to get to. I'll just hit some of my favorite bits, the important bits, like suicide. You know him. Even if you don't know the character's name, that's Mark Venturini. He's the one driving them all there. He's got the best line. Here it is.
I mean, I got something to say, you know? What do you think this is all about? You think this is a fucking costume? This is a way of life.
Mark Venturini was a high school athlete who was goaded into drama by a high school English teacher, where he ended up playing Hawkeye Pierce in a production of MASH, a performance I would pay any amount of money to see. He spent his whole career playing assorted thugs and strong-arm tough guys just because of the way he looked, but horror fans will remember him from Friday the 13th Part 5, wielding that axe on that Snickers-loving annoying guy. You remember him. Anyway, there's a playful malevolence to his performance in Return of the Living Dead. Another thing I love about this movie is a bit of attire. Someday, I'm going to get myself a jacket, just like the one Freddy wears in the film. Freddy is the friend working at the Uneeda Medical Supply House, and he has a satin red and silver jacket. On the back, in very fancy cursive font, is written, "Fuck you." You have to look twice to see it, but it's definitely there. And it represents a rumor surrounding this film that I hope is true. When he was told that any scene with Freddy's jacket in it would be cut for the television version, O'Bannon had a duplicate jacket made for those scenes where it says television version. I really hope that one's true. Now, I'm going to talk about the music here, so I have to pause for a bit of boring autobiography. I snuck into this movie at the Showcase Cinemas in Revere, Massachusetts. I was 12, and the movie fucked me up in a lot of ways. But putting aside whatever psychological damage it had done, the first thing I did after leaving the theater was walk to the closest record store and find the soundtrack. And then I checked the listing on the back, Surfing Dead by the Cramps. That day I went home with 2 albums, the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack and Psychedelic Jungle by the Cramps. The Cramps are my favorite musical act of all time, and I know if I hadn't run into them here, I would have the next year when Goo Goo Muck showed up in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 soundtrack. Nevertheless, I have so much appreciation for this soundtrack, for not only introducing me to the Cramps, but widening my till then narrow musical worldview that seemed to vacillate between top 40 and early metal. Surfin' Dead, the Cramp song in this film, is used twice. Once where our heroes are barricading themselves inside, and it's played again over the closing credits. Now here's the thing about the credits. They use this technique, it's rarely employed these days, but you'd see it a lot back in the 70s and 80s. It was like a greatest hits moments playing while the credits are rolling. At the end of this movie, they chose to cut all of the funniest moments from the film, and sometimes recut things, so they were recontextualized and made more humorous. It's a nice little palate cleanser going out of this movie, but it's helped convince that most viewers that Return to the Living Dead is a comedy. Don't get me wrong, it's a very funny film, but this is a horror movie, first and foremost.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24 related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
It has the blackest of hearts beating at its center. Like I said, it spirals down into darkness in the way most movies tend to veer away from in the last moments. This is uncompromising, it's terrifying, and it is absolutely devoid of hope. Any laughs you're getting while the film is playing are nervous ones at best. Because here's the thing. There have been dozens of films since the punk explosion of the 70s attempting to capture the spirit and the feeling of that ethos. And there have been some successes to varying degrees. I'm thinking of Repo Man specifically, but ever since the 90s, punk has been watered down and diluted to the point of being just another fashion statement. Because everything claiming to be punk has seemed to have forgotten a prime component of the original culture, which is nihilism. You want to talk about no future? This movie is no future writ large, and it earns every bit of it. The reason they have those comedy bits playing over the end credits is otherwise you would be too shattered to walk out of the goddamn theater. Return of the Living Dead is great. Go see it right now. You've seen it, see it again and again. It really is one of the best zombie films of all time. You know where that zombies eating brains thing comes from? It's Return of the Living Dead. Go see it again. You got anything else to say, little lady? We're going to wrap up the roundup and switch gears and switch satellites. We're going to head our transmission on over to the projection booth, Kulturecast, Media Circus, and we'll catch you next time. I'll probably wrap up again after the Romulus, but if I don't, because who knows if I will, thank you for joining us.
Are you sure you want to do this?
There she is.
You want to break in and steal highly regulated equipment.
This could be our only ticket out of here. Should be in and out in 30 minutes.
Welcome to the Romulus Space Station.
This place gives me the creeps. What the hell is this?
I don't know.
What the fuck was that? Young?
Stop playing around, man. Just get up.
I'm not playing around. There's something in the water.
What do you mean there's something in the water?
I don't know. There's just something in the fucking water.
Run.
Are you alright?
Navarro! I don't know what to do.
Whatever comes, we'll face it together.
Let's go.
Impact event in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the projection booth with a special crossover with both the Kulturecast and Midnight Viewing. On this special episode, we are talking about Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez and written by Alvarez, as well as Rodo Sayagues. That's my best guess on that one. This is a sequel to Alien, a prequel to Aliens, prequel to Alien 3, prequel to Alien 4, 5, 6, and 7. There's all of the Alien stuff in here, which was pretty surprising for me. Brand new movie. Excited to talk about this one with you guys. So, Chris, tell me, what were your thoughts on Alien Romulus?
So I think, as we normally do in these episodes, let's do pre-spoilers in any of this conversation, and then we'll talk all about the spoilery bullshit. I think I am a little younger than both of y'all. Alien is a franchise that I was raised to care about, but I was still of an age and of a time and of a place to catch Alien and see Alien kind of when Alien was still a thing that people were talking about. It's not that I don't think people are not talking about Alien right now, far from it. It's just, if an Alien sequel comes out 10 years from now, will it have the turnout that this one did, is the question. Because there are going to be less and less people, unless they continue to make good Alien movies, that are inherently invested in the franchise. And I know that Prometheus and Covenant are kind of maybe what I'm alluding to, because this movie is also a sequel to those movies on top of everything else. So I enjoyed it. I think that it has its pretty glaring issues, but I think, look, I think my, one word summary is it's the best Alien movie I've ever seen in theaters, but that's a pretty low bar to cross in a lot of ways. So, Father Malone, what about you?
I love Alien Isolation, the video game. It is so much fun and so scary and is so evocative of the original Alien. And this movie is very evocative of that video game. I think Fede Alvarez is a fan of that game, obviously, and that a lot of the design work is just built right in, whole scenes and stuff. I let me preface everything by saying I really was excited for an Alien movie for the first time in I don't know how many years, 20 years more. And all I took away from it ultimately was I really want to go play Alien Isolation again. Which is a drag. I mean, look, the movie has a lot of good points. There's a lot of good stuff in it. But ultimately, where this movie breaks down for me on a very fundamental level is there's not one interesting character and there is not one charming actor in this entire movie. It is akin to watching cutscenes from a video game, honestly. No disrespect to these actors, but like they're all miscast and they're all cast too young. Anyway, we'll get into it. I was disappointed by this movie. I'm going to watch it again probably just because I'm a masochist, but it does look beautiful and I love Fede Alvarez, but this ain't no Evil Dead remake. Like I was shocked at the poor quality here.
What about you, Mr. Mike White?
Well, okay, I mean, let's be honest here. Tell me everything you know about Navarro.
What did you just say?
Tell me everything you know about Navarro, the character Navarro.
Oh.
Played by Eileen Wu. She got short hair.
Oh, I know that they ruined the entire scene that her character has in the movie in the trailers. That's what I know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, with the X-ray machine? Yeah.
Yeah. They ruined that in the trailer. And yeah, that's all I know because that's all her character is used for in the movie as well. And that's not a spoiler. That's literally, if you watch the trailer for this movie, you see what they're doing. They just, it's an alien movie? It's going to have a chest burster? No shit movie. No fucking way. It's going to be an alien movie without a fucking chest burster, right? Count on one hand the things that are guaranteed to be in an alien movie at this point. Chest bursters are one of them.
Well, I don't even know if this is an alien movie. This is more of a facehugger movie.
Really? It really is.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of facehuggers in this movie, which is wild.
It's like hundreds of beavers, but with facehuggers instead.
But I would rather watch hundreds of beavers any day of the week over Alien Romulus. I really felt betrayed by this movie because it starts off very strong for me. I was really enjoying the scenes of Kaylee Spaney and David Johnson. I think his portrayal of Andy, I really liked that portrayal. I don't know how he does that with his face where he makes himself look sad and confused all the time. I was trying to do that, but I don't know. I don't think my forehead moves nearly as much, and I haven't even had my Botox this week. Yeah, it's so by the numbers after a while. And then just all of the fan service with all of the lines and just even the movie just starts off looking almost exactly like Aliens with the salvage ship, but instead of rescuing Ripley, they're rescuing the alien which was very tough for me to see. I had no idea what was going on in the first little bit when they pulled in this thing. I'm like, is that an egg? What is it? And they're cutting through it. I'm just like, I don't know what this is. I was really having a hard time seeing things in this movie. It's so dimly lit. And there were times on the spaceship where I'm like, are there lights still operational? Can you turn on some lights? Because I'd really like to see that. Like even in the station on LV-426 where, the colonists are all dead, there's a lot more lighting in that colony, even though it's completely desolated. than there is on this space station, which I don't understand, again, why it's called Alien Romulus, because the ship is the Romulus and the Remus. I'm just like, okay, I guess it's cool. I guess it sounds cool. So, I think that's the whole motivator of this movie is it's cool. It's going to look cool. It's going to be cool if we make this reference. Let's make this reference. And yeah, I'm excited to talk about spoilers because there's one that happens, and that for me is the turning point of the movie.
Oh, is that the one thing that we're just waiting with bated breath to talk about? Because it feels like someone just coming up to you at the playground and punching you in the face repeatedly and saying, this doesn't hurt at all, right? It's fine. You're fine. Everything's fine here. Like, Ian Holm as a...
Okay, we're in spoiler
territory.
Yeah.
I think
right?
There's no fucking way to avoid this shit at this point. But from here on out, spoilers, because yes,
I think we could have danced around for a while. There's a lot going on in this movie that's troubling beyond the Ian Holm fucking cameo.
Yeah, but the Ian Holm thing is like, it's the bridge too far for me. And it happened so early on in the movie, and it happened so frequently in the movie that, look, Peter Cushing in Rogue One was one thing, and it was literally one thing, one or two scenes, if that. Like, it was not.
There were more than two scenes.
Was it two?
Oh God, that movie. I mean, that's what I said exactly when the credits started rolling. And by the way, folks, there's nothing after the end credits. Don't bother to wait around like I did. I took the bullet for you. As soon as the credits started to roll, I said, this was like Rogue One, and then Alien Romulus came in and said, oh, you think that looked horrific and just living in the uncanny valley? Well, here, hold my beer, because I'm going to make this worse than Princess Leia and Grand Moff Tarkin all in one with whatever the fuck they were doing with Ian Holm.
Well, look, he's a robot. See, but like, he's a and an alien. In the Alien universe, we always have to have a robot. Movie, you have a robot. David Johnson is a robot. We don't need to see the ghoulish specter of Ian Holm dragged out and paraded around over and over and it's happened so much that he's not just a cameo. He's essentially the main villain of the movie, which again, that makes it more of a Prometheus movie than it makes it anything else, because Prometheus and Alien Covenant are pretty much just about the robots, which honestly, the dudes over at Red Letter Media, I think, they kind of, really laid into Prometheus a long time ago. And I think Prometheus and Covenant are better movies than Romulus, because at least they're movies that are different. Oh no, I get it. I get that I am in the minority on this, but Alien Romulus, the fan service stuff that they did is more of an affront to me personally than the missteps and problems that Prometheus and Covenant are just making. And Prometheus less so than Covenant.
Okay.
But Prometheus is at least kind of a movie that's different than everything else. This is just Alien with some aliens, a little bit of Alien 3 at the beginning, and then, oh, by the way, you guys like Resurrection? We're going to give you something that is Resurrection levels of insanity in the last 10 minutes of this movie. Let me one up the wildest thing in Alien, in the entire Aliens franchise, with something so beyond that. That's another thing we're going to talk about, I'm sure. But Father Malone, I want to let you speak broadly about this, because, yeah, there's more than just the Ian Holm problem, obviously.
But let me address the Ian Holm problem. I admired the daring in trying it. And if they had built an animatronic and not done any CGI at all and had a fucked up animatronic that was spasming and crazy, because they could do it now. They could 3D print something that's Ian fucking Holm, and they could put mechanisms in it to do every little facial twitch and whatever, and wouldn't even have to be that good because it's a broken down android. Had they pulled that off, I think I would have been okay. But because they kept doing photorealistic deep fake Ian Holm, where again, it's what's funny is when he's in the scene with the other characters, it's not as bad for me as when they cut to him on a video screen, like advising them, because whenever they do that, it really feels like a cutscene for a video game, and it's ghoulish at that point.
It totally reminded me. Like, I'm not a big video gamer, and so I didn't play Isolation. But even me, as a non-gamer, when he would show up on screens, I'm like, oh, is this like the Red Queen in Resident Evil, where she would show up on screens and be like, you're trying too hard, or you must do this or something. He felt like an avatar for the video game coming in and telling you what needs to happen next.
GLaDOS from Portal adjacent. And Father Malone, Alien Isolation is, I've played it, you've played it, it's fucking amazing. Like it, in a lot of ways, it is the sequel. Father Malone, you and I think I sent you a PlayStation over the pandemic, right? And so
you did.
Yeah, and so and some of this is like, well, yeah, like you were able to play some of that because like those things were like things that are not. It's not that they're not hard to get, but they're kind of a ways back in terms of the release cycle of stuff. But Alien Isolation is still the best sequel to Alien that's ever come out. Similarly to the way that Ghostbusters video game that came out is the best sequel to Ghostbusters, because it's like this is people making it that understand what the purpose of the original source material was, and they're building on it in a way that doesn't feel forced and it doesn't feel ham-fisted, because they have plenty of time to. It's so much easier to do fan service in a video game because you don't have to. It's not that you don't have to hang a lantern on it, but you don't have to hang a lantern on it constantly because it's just there, and it's just there. In a movie, when they keep coming back to it over and over and over again, it's like, oh my God, did no one in the test screenings think that this was too much? Did no one in the test, like, I don't know who they're screening these movies for. Because if they had screened this movie for you or I or anyone else who has a little bit of an issue with this AI deepfake stuff, they would have said, take this out of the movie. Do something with this. Just do anything but this, because it's so distracting and it gets in the way of the movie doing anything interesting or different, because like I just keep constantly being reminded of a better movie at every turn.
Let me double down.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me double down on my opening statement. The Ian Holm problem and the plot problems and the sort of too often reflecting the earlier better movies would have been softened had we had adults in roles here.
Yes. Yeah.
And had we had charming actors. I like Kaylee Spaney as well. I enjoy her work, but she is not Ellen Ripley, and they're kind of making her Ellen Ripley here, and it's a big mistake. Shouldering this movie on her is, I don't know, it's not a good idea. But then the entire cast, other than Andy the android, by the way, they break the cycle here. If you go through the Alien movies, the androids have been named alphabetically. So there's Ash, and then Bishop, and then Call, and then David, and now Andy. So that's
yeah, and it's before, yeah, and then you've got Rook. Now Ash is Rook, and I'm just like, is this a chess reference here?
Rook and Bishop.
Yeah. But why? Because and
I want to put out a conspiracy theory here. There was a contest that 20th Century Fox and a group called Tongal, Tongal, put together back in 2018 for a 40th anniversary of Alien. In 2019, they released a series of 6 films that were written by fans, shot by fans, made by fans, I believe. And yeah, I think that they probably took some of these fan ideas and made them into a full-length movie. I'm looking to see if the co-writer is listed on any of these, because this just feels like a big fucking fan film. Just feels like, oh, well, we'll pay service to everything. We'll even mix in some of this Prometheus horseshit that we have with this black oil, which I saw in X-Files, 20 years ago. So
how dare you bring up X-Files in this conversation? That's a much better usage of black oil than this could have ever begun to. But that's what they fucking copied there, totally. I mean, as anyone who's watched the X-Files, wouldn't that happen in Prometheus? That's all I could think then. And now it's like, does anybody in this audience fucking care that they're connecting it to Prometheus? Like,
you know who did? Ridley Scott. They did that for him. I guarantee you, for those, every Prometheus references will go, see, we're connecting it all. And it's like, okay, Ridley's happy, we can make the rest of our movie. But the problem is, Chris, as you said, that Alien Isolation video game is the best sequel to the Alien franchise that we never got. And why didn't they just make that? The Alien Isolation, the plot line in that is Amanda Ripley went looking for mom and ended up on this space station that is overrun with aliens, and you're playing as Amanda Ripley. Like, it's a natural.
Yeah. I don't know, because the game already exists. And,
I know. It's like,
you know,
is there a rights issue where like they want to make their own shit or something? Like, and Fede Alvarez wanted to do an original, but then like he pulls so heavily from the fucking game, even to the point. If I don't know if you noticed, Chris, but like this, anytime there's a save portion in the game, it's one of the like the intercom things on the wall. And every time you save the game, some shit's about to go down. And he does that in the movie. He'll close up the fucking intercom and then like suddenly swarm of face huggers. So he's drawing inspiration from the game anyway. Just make the game into the movie.
I think it's because this whole thing of the Ghostbusters afterlife and the Star Wars Force Awakens of it all. It's like, this is the way these movies are made now, which is we got to have all this fan service nonsense that in the universe, why would he say, "Get away from her, you bitch"? It makes no sense. It's this is not Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, what the fuck? You can't do that in this kind of movie. This movie's being played straight. This movie's being played straightforward. There's no fourth wall breaking. There's none of that. Why would he say that? That hasn't even happened yet. We're still 30 years removed from that happening because this is only 20 years after Alien, which means it's still 37 years before Ripley gets found because she's in space for 57 years. So did she say it because he said it? Like, I don't fucking understand. And, I prefer artificial person, that line makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Like, I get that entirely because that makes more sense than "Get away from her, you bitch." But it's like, just with the Ian Holm of it all and everything else, like, fan service needs to have a point within the construct of the movie itself. Otherwise, it's just out there for the fans. And it's like, well, are you sacrificing telling an interesting story just to have bullshit on screen that's already been on screen before? Yes. And that's how you get Ghostbusters Afterlife with a CGI Harold Ramis running around. Like, I don't understand putting fan service before engaging storytelling, or, to your point, Father Malone, engaging and creative character development and character creation, because nobody but Andy in this movie is an interesting character, period.
It's a Friday the 13th movie in the Alien universe. It's a bunch of teenagers going off to the scary place and then, oh no, aliens.
Yeah. No, I was thinking of Evil Dead, like you, the remake, which I am not a fan of. I thought that the second Evil Dead remake, however you want to put that in, which I thought was Fede Alvarez, but found out that it's not. I like that one. I thought that was actually pretty good and was like, oh, well, this is really nice and gross. So when the one character who's pregnant, that's all you need to know about her, because that's all she is just a pregnant person. I was like, all right, well, she somehow, the alien is going to get in there and we're going to have that moment like, Dawn of the Dead remake where the corpse baby comes out of the woman. We're going to get that somehow, or like an alien baby in this case. How are we going to do that? Because I'm just like trying to figure out with the alien life cycle and all this. That's where the black goo comes in. I'm just like, oh, okay, that's how we're going to do that. Don't put that in your system. Okay, I won't. Put it right in. And then the alien life cycle, which I thought I was pretty familiar with. I guess I missed the wall vagina part. Didn't know that was a thing.
You know what? I actually liked that. I thought that was so fucking Giger-like that, and, just because we haven't seen one of the life cycles doesn't mean it didn't exist. So, and these are like, ultimately, these are genetic clones. There's no queen here. These have all been harvested from the genetic contents of the original alien.
Big chap.
That's the thing.
Hayden's son, the big chap.
Okay, look, movie starts with a salvage ship finding the remains of the Nostromo. It's great, right? It's like Jaws 2 when they find the orca at the bottom. Those dives.
So it's like my favorite film in the Jurassic franchise, Jurassic World Dominion. Wow. I'm fucking, or Fallen Kingdom, I'm joking. Because that's literally how Fallen Kingdom opens. They go to Jurassic World to get a dinosaur tooth. And then the entire movie is based off of that. Like, Legacy sequel box checked again. Like, it's not bad here, but it's...
No, because
they've done it a bunch of times.
This is integral to the plot, at least.
Right.
Except...
Yeah, I agree.
Except Ripley had escaped in the Narcissus and was so fucking far away from that thing when it exploded, and then shot the thing with a harpoon, and then blasted with the engine, which meant that alien was tumbling on through space forever and ever and ever. They were never going to find that. As much as I liked seeing him and thinking like, oh, all the villains in this are going to be from that guy from the original movie. Okay, that's kind of cool. And I did like the mirroring of Aliens in that case. Like a crew went out and found Ripley, but before that, a crew went out and found the alien because that's more important. Like I like that plot wise.
It also reminded me of Superman Returns, where he goes out, and I think they cut this out of the movie, or maybe they didn't, where he goes out to find Krypton and sees that it is exploded. But yeah, I agree with you. That alien corpse would have been so far away from the Nostromo. It doesn't make sense where it is. I'm not going to quibble about the physics of that because, like you say, we don't know certain things. Like I'm not going to get into, other than my one thing about the wall vagina, too much about that because, yeah, I forgot. I remember Harry Dean Stanton, I think, picking up the skin of the first one in the first movie, and so we know that it sheds, we know that it grows. We never really see that middle part of its life cycle before it becomes a parent, but before it becomes a real alien. And yeah, it's for all intents and purposes a male alien, so calling it a bitch doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. And there's none of that gravitas as far as Ripley protecting Newt and having this other mother who is threatening her, and this other mother who has destroyed this entire planet of LV-426 and all of these people that Ripley knows. I mean, God, how well written is Aliens that you care about characters like Drake and Apone and all of these guys in that intro, whereas with this one, yeah, bunch of dead meat teenagers who I don't know and I don't care to know, and they don't tell me anything about them.
That one guy has a really heavy British accent.
There's something in the water. It's in the water.
Oh, shut the fuck up. How many times have I heard that in the trailers?
Speaking of fan service, would you guys like some cornbread? Don't mind my drinky bird. Like in the fucking opening scene. I was like, oh, no. We're not going to be doing this the whole time, are we, Fede?
Oh, we are. Well, here's the thing, though. It's an interesting question. How much of the fan service is him and how much of the fan service is just studio meddling? Is that a thing that we could say, like, oh, Disney wanted Ian Holm in the movie? Like, Disney wanted all that shit. Like, let me put it this way. Fede Alvarez made and wrote with Rodo Sagayas the Evil Dead remake, which your mileage is going to vary clearly between the three of us. It's a better movie than this movie, and it doesn't beat you over the head with the fucking fan service like this movie does. I wonder if some of this is just the Disney of it all, which, boy, wouldn't that be fucking fun, because I would echo Deadpool and Wolverine. That movie's problems, a lot of it comes from what I believe to be meddling of a studio that doesn't really understand what they have and never has, which is why they didn't own it up until the last couple years. And now that they do, their meddling may be getting in the way of these things actually having a soul of their own, as opposed to feeling corporate-y and soulless, which is kind of the way Deadpool and Wolverine felt at times. And this feels really like that. This feels like a fan film with a massive budget. Like, you guys liked Alien, right? You liked Ian Holm. You liked Newborn and Resurrection. I don't know who liked the Newborn and Resurrection.
Nobody.
Newborn. I like Resurrection a lot.
I mean, Resurrection's a fun movie.
Yeah.
You know.
I think I like Resurrection to me is, in all of the movies that we've been talking about other than Aliens, I think that's one of my favorites.
I mean, it's kind of Aliens-esque. Like, it's pretty much just another Aliens, but with, space pirates as opposed to colonial marines. I'm with you. Like, I was being flippant about the Newborn, but the Newborn is actually like the first interesting thing they did in 3 movies, is what it felt like. Like, I mean, Aliens is great, but Aliens sets that standard. Alien 3 is Alien 3, and I don't want to draw the ire of the Alien 3 fan, but we know how excessive they can be with their love and hatred of people that do and don't like that movie.
Just don't screw up when you're talking about it being puppets rather than CG. So
yeah, sorry. Yeah. But Resurrection has an interesting, weird fucking thing at the end of it, like this movie does. It's just, it was done better in Resurrection, and here it's like a mix of, it's like mixing everything it's like going to a soda fountain and getting all the things in the cup and being like, this is going to taste good, right? It's like, no, it's going to be a lot. And none of this was really fine-tuned and calibrated to be in the same thing together. And that's apparent when Alien and Prometheus are existing on the same screen together, and one of those things definitely fucking doesn't feel like the other. that being everything from Prometheus. When they go into that lab, I was just like, oh God, here we go. This is where the movie does the thing, right? This is where they're going to do the thing with the Prometheus stuff. Yep. It's like, telegraph everything. Why don't you, movie, please?
Well, there's nothing to telegraph because it's all just the greatest hits of the previous Alien movies.
Right.
I will say this. I liked the newborn here better than I like it from Resurrection, just because I think it was creepier here and better executed, because the man in the suit in that thing, it's so poorly articulated, the newborn in Resurrection. Like, I almost wish that had been CG instead. But there are some things that I like in this movie. I like that newborn scene here. I like even though that character is pregnant, she falls 2 stories to a point where I actually thought the character was dead when she fell that far. I went, oh man, that's tough that she died that way in an Alien movie. But so I like that sequence. I like whenever they show the aliens doing intelligent things. Like, there's a scene where we first encounter the adult alien with that girl, where it's chasing her, and she wants to be let in through the airlock, and the android won't let it in because he can see the alien sitting there because it wants them to open the door. And just moments like that are great. Like, I wish there had been a movie like that, a cat and mouse game with an alien, like, instead of, like I said, the greatest hits of everything that came before. I also do like the 0G acid blood sequence.
That was nice. That was a nice kind of showpiece that they had. And it was nice that they built it up earlier in the film. And I kept thinking, okay, that's going to come back later on, but I wasn't sure how they would have it. So when it was with the acid blood, I was like, okay, yeah, that works. And that's pretty nice. And the way that she uses the gun to propel herself around was pretty cool as well.
And speaking of acid blood, I like their treatment of the acid blood. Each movie, it seems to dilute more and more what the acid will do. Like in the first film, like a drop of it like goes through 3 decks of their ship. They're worried it's going to breach the hull. And then, in each successive things, people are getting sprayed with it. They're like, oh, I'll be okay. Just wipe it off. Like, no. And in here, it's corrosive as goddamn hell. I love that aspect of it.
Yeah, Bill Paxton gets showered in a fair amount of it in Aliens, and he's fine. But Drake, on the other hand, gets a face full of it and is dead. Unequivocally dead.
I think you mean Hicks, sir.
Oh. Yeah, I want to go back to the thing about the characters, because I watched Aliens last night, and that movie takes 45 minutes to get going. Okay.
So good. I love it. I love the length. And when you're watching the director's cut, it's almost an hour before those aliens ever show up.
And exactly. So that was the version I watched last night, the 2 hour and 34 minute version. And the movie spends so much time getting its legs underneath it to make sure that you care about everything that's about to be happening through the characters that they've introduced. Be it, the guy loading the missiles onto the ships, to the woman who's the pilot of the little aircraft carrier thing, or the little ship that goes down from the Sulaco, like all of that. They spend all the time and effort. And this movie's 2 hours long. Like it does nothing with any of the characters. We've mentioned Kaylee Spaney. She's in a better movie. This is the best movie I've seen her in this year that she's been in. That's not hard, given that the last thing that we talked about, the 3 of us, was it the last thing we talked about? Maybe 2 times ago, was Civil War. And she was in that. And she was completely underused in that movie, to the point of like, not that she didn't need to be in it, but she wasn't given much to do. And I think that's kind of the point in a lot of ways of that movie. Here, I think she's fine, but I think this movie does have a horror movie problem, which is there are characters on screen and they're going to die. You know that. You just don't know how many are going to be left at the end. And I think they picked the right number. I think this is again, like 2 people, 1 human and one android or artificial person. But yeah, all the other characters are completely worthless. And I'm not saying like the actors didn't do a good job. I think the actors are fine. It's that the writing does not help any of this. There's no writing at all.
No,
like,
it's
none of the characters have any
terrible.
Thing.
It's not just any one thing. It's the writing. It's the performances. It's the choice to make them all fucking 20 years old. It's just there's a lot going on there. Like I care about every member of the crew of the Nostromo. I care about every member of the crew of the Sulaco. Every fucking one of them.
Yeah,
we got to talk about those shares.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Turns on the air, turns the air off. Yeah. It's surprising how little character development is in this movie, given that this movie is 2 hours long. But it does just feel like
what we're given for a story is the fucking beginning of the movie Solo. Remember that? It's the same fucking beginning. Like, we got to get off this horrid planet where we never see the sun. Like, wait, they're changing my credits. I have to stay another 7 years. Oh, woe is me. They have a ship. Leave. Just leave.
That was the thing I kept wondering about. I'm like, is the next closest planet really that far away? Is it really, what is it, 9 light year or 9 years in a cryo chamber away? Or can you just hop, skip, and a jump to someplace where you can see the sun and maybe there's another M-class planet around here? Come on, guys.
Well, they've got a spaceship on a planet, though, and they can leave. And they never explain why they don't.
Yeah. And that whole thing of them being on this mining planet, I'm just like, man, I'd rather be watching Outland. I really like that movie so much better than this. And yeah, I just, even with the Ian Holm stuff versus the Grand Moff Tarkin, I was really reminded of just the unnecessary Rogue One. I mean, it's funny that Andor got his own show, because I was like, Andor, I barely remember that guy. He's nothing. He's got his robot companion, who I find to be more charming than him. And when they finally brought out a show of Andor, I was like, okay, this is great. Now I finally get to know this character, even though he's kind of the least interesting character in the entire show. It's really more Stellan Skarsgård's show for me. I didn't know any of those people. I just knew Donnie Yen because he's an actor. Other than Ian Holm and our main character, I don't know any of these actors. Nothing to latch onto as far as even bringing things from other movies, at least with that horrific sequel to Pacific Rim. At least I got some characters that I remember, though they bring in John Boyega and her. And I'm just like, and what's Eastwood's son's name?
Scott Eastwood.
I'm like, these are all just zero charisma. Well, he's zero charisma. The other two are not. Boyega I love, but he's not given anything to do either.
Scott Eastwood is proto Glenn Powell. Somehow Glenn Powell is a much more charismatic guy, and his dad's not Clint Eastwood, which is pretty fucked up, but also kind of amusing at the same time. All the characters, I mean, Father Malone, I think we differ on what the feelings are on why they're not great, but I think the sentiment is still the same. This has like a prequel problem with the characters. Like they don't want to do anything interesting with them for whatever reason. Because they're not aliens. The aliens are what you're writing this movie for fuck's sake. Like, I get it. Like, and then the face hugger, like, none of us have ever gotten a chance to write that in a script that anybody's going to do anything with. And if we did, I'd probably be just as excited to talk about and write for the aliens than I would be for the humans. Like, I'm not a fucking idiot any more than either one of you guys are. We're writing an alien movie. I'm probably going to want to focus on the aliens. However, that's not how this works, because that's not how this fucking franchise has really ever worked when it's been that's at its best. Even in Prometheus, Noomi Rapace's character is better written than all the characters in this movie. And in Prometheus, it actually does a little bit of a trick with that movie, because you actually kind of care about some of the characters in that movie, because they give you a little bit of time with them. And similarly to Covenant, I mean, it takes a while for those movies to get going. This movie, on the other hand, is a horror movie for 20-somethings and their parents to go see together. Because that's the thing. I mean, what all the articles and information I've been reading is my parents went and saw Aliens together. And so we're going to go see this movie, all of us now. And it's like, cool. I'm glad that can be a shared experience, and that people's generational things that people have shared with their kids can now be a thing that we all go see an alien movie in theaters together. However, I wish there was more to this as opposed to just alien. It's alien. It's like, that's not enough. But for some people, it's going to be. And I'm not saying that those people's opinions are lesser, better, worse than mine. It's just my bar here with alien movies, Alien as a franchise even, is probably pretty high. Because this is a franchise that I have been watching since I was like 13. And that's not for nothing, 21 years now. For y'all, it's a little bit longer than that. But like, this has been a franchise that's been part of our lives for a while. I'm sitting listening to Father Malone rattle off the names of the goddamn ships here. So he's as invested as you and I are. Mike, I know you're invested as well. Like, and at this point, it's like, you've got to do more for people like us on top of being able to make a movie for everybody. And people like us, I think at some point are just going to go, you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again with the fan service that we've seen in all these other fan service movies. Because Alien doesn't need it. Like Alien at its best was not about trotting out the old lines and having people say them new that aren't the original actors. Like that was never a thing in this franchise. The point of this franchise is very different. The point of this franchise is kind of all over the place in terms of what movie you're watching or what source material you're seeing. But this movie just wanted to take a horror movie and put an alien in it, which is fine. That's just not enough, for me at least.
Yeah, I think about the movie Prey, and I know that didn't get a theatrical run, right?
No, that was
just dumped right to Hulu.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to be this too. This was supposed to be dumped to Hulu. And I remember with Prey, I was like, wow, would I like to have seen that on the big screen? I don't think I would have said that for this one, unless they didn't. The thing that I liked about Prey was that they had like that little nod with the gun at the end. You're like, oh, that's the same gun that Danny Glover had in Predator 2. That's pretty cool. And of course, there's other like little hints of things, but way better than the Predator where you got, oh, get to those choppers. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is so embarrassing. Had they taken this idea, because the first Alien is very much a horror movie with an alien in it, it conquered the earth type of thing, or what was the Terror Beyond Space or whatever it was. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. Take it. But please, if you can remove the fan service, just have these guys running into another ship or like another alien rather than this particular tie-in to Ripley and her story. Just set it someplace else. And that's what the comic books, the old Dark Horse comics used to do. They had whole new characters that they had, and they were great. Those were awesome comic books. I really recommend those. And
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wonderside's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wonderside.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wonderside.com. Wonderside. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
I think they could have learned something from this where they don't have to just be so slavish to all of the old stuff and just keep giving us these nods, because for me, every time they do, it just takes me out of it.
They should just adapt those comics into a fucking series already.
Or the books, or the fucking multitude of books that they've written. All the you can go to Half Price Books right now and pick up 5 or 6 Alien books for 50 cents that are better written than this movie is. And I get it. It's a 200-page book, and it's not a 2-hour movie, and all the time, blah, blah, blah. You know what? That's not a fucking excuse, because we have mentioned already Alien and Aliens and even Prometheus actually do some character development that's worth talking about.
You can get audio books of Alien if you don't want to read them. And they've got some like audio dramas that are really fucking good.
Yeah. Alien is a franchise that has so much extended universe material that's still canon until Disney doesn't want to be anymore, probably at this point. Like, there's so much that they could have drawn from that they just were like, no, Alien and Aliens, that's it. And like the Alien base movies, like nobody has read Alien, whatever the fuck X, Y, and Z book. Just rip that off. Even to your point, Father, I'm like, Isolation's, you would have thought, enough removed. And clearly, in a lot of ways, it is from the mainstream to rip that off without getting lambasted for it in every review for the movie.
You know what would be a good link between Alien and Aliens? Ellen Ripley's daughter trying to find her.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Yeah. The thing that, so I had a real problem with Alien 3 in the idea of, and this was more in the scripts that were rejected for Alien 3, but it still ended up being an Alien 3. This whole idea of if an alien gestates in something that's not a human, it takes on the properties of that creature, which to me just doesn't make any sense. It's that whole idea of like, if an alien embeds a baby inside of a rhino, it's going to come out with like armor plating and a horn, and like that just doesn't make sense as far as the DNA of the alien itself. It kind of
sells
does
cool Kenner toys, Mike.
It does, but it kind of makes sense with the black goo, with the black oil, like that kind of makes sense. But where is that mouse alien in this movie? That's what I was waiting for. Once you see that mouse explode in that video footage, I'm waiting for that mouse alien to come out.
Yeah, where was it? It was just what we got was like a cocoon kind of a thing, and then no payoff. And then we get another cocoon later saying, if there you see a cocoon, there's something in there. It's coming for you.
Yeah. Well, and again, the Prometheus of it all, we have a direct homage to Prometheus with the pregnant woman at the end of the movie, because I've got to assume that's what they're referencing with her laying the alien egg, which is very similar to what happens to Noomi Rapace in the third act of that movie, where she has the emergency C-section and she has the thing taken out of her and it's wiggling on the arm. Like, it's just that again. Like, even the thing in this movie that kind of feels somewhat unique and original is ultimately a poor facsimile of a thing you've already done elsewhere. 2 movies ago even. Not 3, not Alien, 2 goddamn movies ago. And how do I know this? Because Ridley Scott directed the goddamn thing. Like, and he produced the fucking movie. Like, and to your point, Father Malone, this is all, if it's not Fox meddling, it's Ridley Scott going, I'm producing this, so you better have this shit in here.
Oh, it absolutely is. Because I haven't said anything about Prometheus or that other fucking Covenant. What was it? Was that
Alien Covenant.
You're right. Covenant, yeah.
I fucking hate those movies. Like, I hate this whole... What I love about the aliens, and I will continue to ignore those movies, I love the idea that we don't know where they're from. There's a planet of them somewhere, and they are the apex predator of the universe, and don't go there. And all of the Lovecraftian kind of connotations involved with them. And instead, Ridley Scott's like, no, I'm going to do this like bullshit 1960s concept of space seeding, like chariots of the gods, man. Like, that's what you came up with? And by the way, you didn't
really come up with it either.
You didn't come up with a fucking thing, you dick. No, he didn't come up with any of that. He didn't come up with anything for Alien either. He directed one movie. Like, why is he charting the course for the rest of these films? And why is he charting their mythology? He's a fucking hired gun, man. He was a fucking shoe salesman before this. Dan
O'Bannon is turning over in his grave.
Now, Dan O'Bannon is going, where's my check, motherfucker?
Yeah, that's Dan That's on point for Mr. O'Bannon, but it was nice seeing his name on screen.
Oh yeah, always is.
Yeah, always is. But at the same time, I could just sit and think to myself, like, what would he think about this movie? Because like him and Ron Shusett really nailed it with that first movie, so hardcore. And then to watch this movie just kind of, again, succeed in what it could succeed at, but ultimately, in my mind, flail a lot of the time, because some of the things that happen in this movie are flailing in a way that's like flailing upward for people, clearly, because I would say that I might be the most positive of the three of us on the movie, but we are in a minority here of finding this movie to be not as great, because most everybody I've talked to and or seen online is like, enjoyed this movie a lot more than either three of us did, which is not surprising. But at the same time, I wonder the amount of experience and exposure and yearning and wanting that people who have seen these movies, even within the mainstream media and critics, are watching it and have a frame of reference for the other things outside of just, I saw Aliens once and I know that line is in Aliens. I mean, this like, to your point, Father Malone, this world that was created is so deep and interesting, and it doesn't need to be like, the parts of it that are deep and interesting are not the parts that need to be explained. Those are the things that I like. To your point, I never asked, where the fuck did the alien come from? Why does anyone care? It's the whole prequelization of shit, thanks to George Lucas and Friends and Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. Like, oh, how did Harrison Ford get that scar on his chin? How did he get his hat? How did he get his whip? Like, that's 10 minutes of that movie. And that's the perfect prequel version of anything I think I've ever seen, because it's connected to a movie. It's not the whole goddamn movie. And that's this entire movie is just more of like, where did the alien come from? It's weird that I haven't fucking cared this whole time movie. I didn't really care. I mean, Prometheus and Covenant, the parts of those movies that I have enjoyed are Michael Fassbender's performance, because he's great in those movies. Like, that's really not up for debate in terms of those movies. That's the quality at the center of those movies, is his performance and the way he interacts with the other people. But the alien of it all in those movies is like, I didn't want to know where Hannibal Lecter came from. I don't want to know Darth Vader's backstory. I don't want to know any of this shit, because it doesn't fucking matter. And for the longest time, nobody else thought it did either.
Do you like Boba Fett? Well, I'm going to show you where Boba Fett came from. He was a little kid and his father died and he was really sad.
Such a cool idea for a movie.
I always loved all the mystery of the space jockey and the eggs. And was he transporting them? Like, was he trying to get rid of them? Like, who set up that beacon? Was it him? Who is that guy?
Is he an elephant?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, it's just mystery upon mystery. And like, I'm fucking totally cool with that.
How does Ash work without that chip that they give to, Rook? How does Rook work without that thing that they give to Andy?
That's a good question that they probably don't have an answer for.
Space magic.
I like that whole transformation of Andy when they put that new chip in, and I like when he looks up at the sky and his eyes go white and his hands are trembling, and I'm just like, that's a really cool moment for me. There are some good moments in this, but otherwise, I mean, does it say tilt on his eyeballs when it goes up as well? It's what it reminded me of.
Warning.
Yeah, but things like the creature design for the baby alien, like, I tend to agree with you, Father Malone, that looks a little cooler than the skull-faced alien that we had in Resurrection. It reminds me a lot of the aliens that were in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like that last wave of them that come out that are so tall and spindly. And there's a silhouette where I was just like, oh, that kind of reminds me of that. That's pretty cool. But then I'm like, oh, and it's got the engineer's face from Covenant and Prometheus. Fuck me.
Yeah. It was when the reveal happened at the end of the movie, I said audibly, along with several other people in the theaters, what the fuck? Because it was I disagree with y'all. It was a worse design than Resurrection, because it is a full CGI creature that anytime they cut to it, it looks like CGI. And I will be that guy one time right now and go, this was where practical effects would have helped, because it was already low lighting anyways, guys. Like, you're in a dark hold of a ship. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, you can do more with CGI than you can do practically. I appreciate it. And I know that there is a gentleman who plays the hybrid in this movie. So there is a person in a suit, but there's also a lot of it that's CGI.
Well, that's the thing. Like, that would have solved the fucking Ian Holm problem too. It's we're not like misusing his image or anything. We're using that character based on his look and the sound alike. Like, I would have bought a fucking. If you've ever seen any of the animatronics at Disneyland, like fucking Malfunction, it's fantastic. Like, they could have done a lot with that with Ash here.
Mm-hmm.
Or Rook. Pardon me, Rook.
As soon as Rook came on screen, I was very audibly upset. I was just like, no, just because it just looked so bad with the way that his head moves. Because I understand his head's down on his chest, doing the whole like Bishop from Alien 3 thing, where he's half there, half not. They did such a better job with Bishop with the way that they did that. And I understand that Lance Henriksen was still a relatively young man and still alive, whereas with Ian Holm, it's been gone for a few years. But do you know what this opens up? We can now redo The Hobbit with Ian Holm as Bilbo Baggins. This is going to be fantastic.
Christ, don't put that out into the fucking universe, Mike. Why would you
It's going to show up on Rings of Power.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, man. Like, and there he is. There's Bilbo walking around like, oh, no.
Uncanny to beat the band. Oof.
There's a research ship from Weyland-Yutani, and it is filled with the aliens. And if there's one thing Weyland-Yutani wants more than anything in the world, it's these aliens. And somehow it's just derelict, hanging out above mining colony. They haven't come to get it. Like, there's a dynamic that they could have explored, the Weyland-Yutani on the way kind of thing. Something that they needed there other than rods to power their ship to get, I don't know, maybe a plot or something.
I was going to say, where was the like opposing force coming to get the aliens? Like, because that's a thing that was never really been explored in any of this. I mean, we have it a little bit at the end of Alien 3, not really in Resurrection, because again, this kind of rips off Resurrection that it's taking place on the space station where they were fucking around with the alien DNA. Like, but Resurrection does it better because Resurrection shows us where the mutant aliens are hanging out and where the mutant Sigourney Weaver clones are. In this movie, it's like, it's just perfect. It's still perfect. Everything's fine. The alien got loose and killed everybody, but it still looks normal. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. Rook should have been all about trying to figure out a way to get those aliens back to Weyland-Yutani. And yeah, if there's power on the ship and you see power on quite a few times, why don't we go ahead and just pilot this ship, this whole Romulus Remus thing or whatever? You know, he can crawl around with his arms. We see that too. Why does he try to commandeer the ship and take off with some of the face huggers in tow? They're going to leave him alone.
Right. Because they don't care. Because it's just, and I don't know why they don't care, because you have these franchises and you have these opportunities to do something with them and you're spending money. You spent $80 million on this movie. It's not nothing. That's a significant amount of money, at least to me, at least the way I look at the world. I mean, $80 million is a lot of money to spend. And this is the best that you can do is just kind of playing the discordant tones of Alien over and over again. Just like playing it on a piano and being like, this is a new song. It's like, no, we've heard this before. Don't try to lie to us. Like, don't try to put one over on me. Because here's the other thing. At the end of this movie, the story's over. Thankfully, that's the one saving grace in all of this is what universe do we need to see any more with these characters? Oh, we don't. And that's good.
Well,
right?
You can do like Andor and now do a prequel with Rain and Andy.
Wrong.
In the early days.
God, no. We want to know why Andy, the android, is called that. And why is she called Rain? She was found out in the rain.
I mean, the whole idea of them living on this shithole planet and just being stuck in this, never-ending cycle and trying to break away from this. I mean, this is stuff I can relate to as an American. I'm like, okay, I get this whole thing. We're going to keep moving the goalposts on you, Pretty soon they're going to raise the fucking retirement age and they're going to change this rule and that rule. And it's just like, okay, I get it. And I get this so well. But then once they make the decision, like, oh, there's a ship up there. We're going to go up to the ship. It's like, okay, cool. Boom. 5 minutes later, we're off. And that's it. And they just take off. And like you said, it's like, okay, go someplace else then. Like, I don't get why you're so stuck on going to this space station. Okay, great. If it doesn't work out with these cryo tubes, you know what? They got enough power for 3 years. Let's go someplace that's 3 years close.
That's not what the script allowed them to do.
I know. I'm being a horrible person.
That's not how the script was written, Mike. That's, someone said, let's just make this Alien again. Let's just have them on a space station and have aliens running around. And the scariest part of the movie being the facehuggers. Because that is, I mean, the most compelling part of this movie is that sequence that was in the trailer where they're in the cryo room and there are, quote, something in the water. And those things are the facehuggers. And that is the best scene in this entire movie. It really is. Like, it's compelling. It's different. There are some stakes. There are some components going on because there's the android in there who's rebooting. And then there's the two other guys whose names you couldn't get me to remember even if I tried. And yeah, and on top of everything else, let's mention something else, something we haven't really talked about. I mean, we kind of alluded to it, that the characters are fodder. Are there any good death scenes in this movie even with the usage of the way the aliens work other than, is the chest burster scene in this movie good is kind of the question I want to ask, because I don't think it is. I mean, they showed the entire thing in the trailer, and the only thing they didn't show in the trailer is the shot of the alien popping out of her chest. And then when you see it, it's thoroughly underwhelming in a way that I was not expecting, given the guy who directed this fucking movie and wrote it is the guy who had blood raining from the skies like it's a fucking Slayer song in Evil Dead, okay? And this is just like a little just patch of the alien popping out. Like, what in the fuck, man? For real. It's it's a waste of time because then when we have the alien doing alien things, there's not a big enough cast to see people getting fucking eviscerated anyways. And so we get a quick shot of one of the two guys getting murdered by an alien. And it's like the movie's rated PG-13 and it doesn't even want to show you what's happening with any amount of like detail, which again, not saying I need to see guys' heads exploding or anything, but the movie's rated R. So you're clearly aware that you can do essentially whatever the fuck you want. You're not. So I just don't understand why you're not, is probably what I'm getting at.
Here's how excited for the movie I was. I avoided every trailer. I
believe it.
Somehow managed to avoid every piece of media. So with the X-ray thing, when she first picks it up, I was like, wow, that's cool. Well, that's a cool piece of tech. And didn't think it was going to pay off. So that actually worked for me. But when the little alien bursts out, I think Alvarez was just trying to be different than the John Hurt one. And boy, he succeeded.
Wow. Talk about phallic. Holy shit. That was the most phallic chest burster I've ever seen in my life. I know there's basically a foreskin on a chest burster, but you get to see that. You get to see the blue veins. I'm just like, wow, okay. We're just not hiding it anymore.
No, why?
I like
should we?
penises. I like to make everything phallic. Thanks, HR.
But I will say about that chest burster scene, I like the dynamics of what was going on in it with the shuttle and then like slowly crashing. In fact, one thing I really liked in the movie was all of the space stuff, all of the ships and it all felt heavy, like there was gravity to it all, and it all felt very realistic and very of that universe. So I think they succeeded 100% there, and including in that sequence.
The influence of Ron Cobb still looms large in this franchise. Thank God, because they're while they may not be kit bashing anymore with the ways that they're designing things, they're kit bashing in 3D rendering. Because everything feels. That's the thing about this movie. Like everything feels proper Alien. Like everything really does. Like everything looks like Alien, feels like Alien. It's just poorly executed, but it's a beautiful movie. I mean, unfortunately, like, and more $80 million produced by Disney. Like, oh, your movie doesn't look good. That's a bigger problem at this point, because where did the money go? At least if we can see the visual effects look pretty good, the set design looks pretty great, the production design and the costume design is great. Like, okay, I can concede that there's a fair amount of money going into that, but I mean, again, a movie looking nice in 2024 that's a big budget studio movie. I mean, I'm sure Borderlands looked fine. Clearly wasn't a good movie in execution, but sure, it looked fine. But again, low bars to cross.
Here's the other thing I like and this is sort of tying back into what I said earlier about showing the aliens and how intelligent they are. There's a scene where the android has given each of the characters new pulse rifles. These are before the pulse rifles that the Colonial Marines will have 50 years from now. So now nerds have a whole new model they have to go 3D print. But anyway, he gives them the guns and tells them don't use them because they have acid blood and it'll kill us all. And they say, why do you give them to us? And he says, well, I think they'll think that it is a deterrent. And it is. So that one scene where there's like a group of full-grown aliens coming around the corner, climbing on the wall, and she holds up the gun and they all pause. That scene, somehow, that the image of them like pausing and waiting and I don't know, I thought that was really evocative, like really like worthy of the rest of the series of movies. Like the things with the actual adult alien in this movie, like I knocked my socks off. It's just everything else hanging on it is bad. But I will say this, Chris, I think I did like this movie more than you because I will never watch Prometheus or Covenant again, and I will watch this again for at least for what we were just talking about, the production design and like spending 2 hours in this world. Like I will watch it again.
Yeah, I think the performance that Andy gives is enough to possibly bring me back. And there's a few things. I thought it was interesting that we're trying to fight aliens with cold rather than fire, which again takes me back to Alien Resurrection with that little Brad Dourif machine that he's got where it sprays them with the cold stuff. And then when she tries to use it again later on, it doesn't work. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. great.
But
I thought we were going to have, instead of flamethrowers, we're going to have ice throwers or, cryo fuel, which apparently is very cold. So I was like, all right, great. But
in space, no one can hear you.
Yeah.
At all.
There are some interesting things in this film, but I don't think it's enough for me. It's more interesting and more enjoyable. And I actually, for all of my complaints about not knowing these characters, when you get to Covenant, other than David, I don't know any of those people whatsoever. I'm like hard pressed to even remember. I think Dr. Manhattan was one of the scientists, and Danny McBride, and then poor James Franco just kind of gets all of his scenes cut out. And it's like, otherwise, I'm just left with the lady with the dark hair. And yeah, that's all about I remember.
Or Catherine Waterston was just in big franchise movies there for a while, and they were not good because she was also the female lead in those Fantastic Beast movies. And it's like, oh, man. I feel so bad for you. Sam Waterston's daughter is just she's like the female Idris Elba. It's like, can you be in something good that's a big budget thing as opposed to just being good in all the non-big budget stuff you're in? Because
we want to love you.
Yeah.
Stop picking these franchises. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm rewatching the Slot Slights version, and just even in that shitty video quality, the Ian Holmes-ness of it is just, it really disturbs me. I mean, I don't tend to just focus on just how bad CG can get, but this just really hurts to watch.
Remember those Zales commercials with Humphrey Bogart?
Oh God.
Yeah. Remember that's where this all started? Like that was like the initial onus behind this is like, have dead people salary. Like, can we have dead people be in like SAG minimum to do the work of a real actor? Because that's the thing. Daniel Betts does the voice for Ian Holmes' character because there's someone doing like an Ian Holmes impersonation. Right. He's great. It's just sad that there's all this other stuff surrounding it because I don't would not it have been enough to just have the voice of Ian Holm coming out of a robot that looks different and the people that get it just be like, okay, it's like an Ian Holm thing, as opposed to just like, it is Ian Holm on screen. Please acknowledge. Like, I don't want to. Please stop forcing this down my throat like a fucking face huggers too. Like, don't do it.
Right. And had they moved on to another model? Because that's the thing with Alien 3, the whole thing of Bishop coming back, and it's like, oh, is this actually Bishop? No, it can't be Bishop. So who is this guy? Is this the guy that Bishop was based on, or is this another android artificial person that looks like Bishop? And I kind of like that they leave it a little bit vague there, but then in this one, it's like, oh, no, they just have models and they all look alike. I'm like, all right, so we're doing a little Picard season 1 thing here.
Well, and Father Malone, correct me if I'm wrong. That's in isolation, all the robots look the same. All the synthetics look the same.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that actually.
It's like a plastic, burn mask just over like a robot like body. It's like literally like
crash
the CPR dummies,
basically. Yeah, and they're horrifying.
Yeah, they're more scary. Here's the thing: Alien Isolation. It's a great Alien game, but the fucking robots are more horrifying than the Alien is. They kill you in 2 hits.
Disagree.
Whack you twice and you're dead.
I think they are very, very scary, but there is nothing made me more frightened of the Alien, other than the original movie, of the Alien than playing that game. You hear it coming, man. You just fucking hide and you fucking pray because it knows you're there. It's really scary.
Hiding in the lockers and watching it like walking around.
Yeah, man.
You can move back in the locker too to pull yourself back away from it. Yeah, it's video games are the superior art form for certain things. They just are. And with this, it's like Alien kind of is made for that kind of story to be interacted with in a way that is more closely tied to the person having the experience is interacting with the alien directly. And that's what Alien as a franchise kind of has always wanted, is to put you in the shoes of the people there. And by having it be just a spaceship with a small amount of people, you can make that feel like anywhere else other than space where you couldn't run away. And Alien Isolation captures that in a way that, like we've already alluded to, nothing else really ever has. And now this is the first thing that's kind of tried to even, and it fails. It really fails in terms of just being a worthwhile sequel to Alien. It just kind of ends up being a sequel to everything, not specifically Alien, which is fine, but nobody asked for that. That was a choice that was made specifically by the writers and directors and producers of the film. So, okay.
Here's what I'm asking for. Here are my 2 ideas. If anyone from the franchise is listening, make these movies. I would like to see a movie made from the alien point of view.
Hell yeah. Like In a Violent Nature.
Yeah. Like I'd like to, yes, exactly. Like where we see how horrible we are to them, like I'd like that movie. I would also like a Predator style movie. You want to do it on a space station, put it wherever you want. I want to see one person against an alien. They're hunting each other for the entire movie. Like the stuff I was talking about that I like in the movie, every time we get to see them like plotting and scheming and like being more than just the sort of beast that they look like. I'd like to see that like throughout a movie, like setting traps and doing shit. Like, that could be really fun. Anyway, sorry.
The alien comes up and it opens up its mouth and the second set of jaws is there and the guy just goes, "Clever girl."
I mean, I was talking about this last night with Ryan from Someone's Favorite Productions. Like, where does this go from here, right? I think is ultimately like the final question to answer here, the kind of big thing to think about. Because like I alluded to, the way this movie ends, there's no reason to return to these characters. There's nothing, there's no overt cliffhanger like at the end of Covenant, which is clearly never going to be resolved at this point, which is perfectly fine. But this movie just kind of ends, and it's, they're not drifting out through space like Alien or Aliens. It's just, they're going to Yavanga or wherever the fuck they're going, and they'll get there and they'll be fine and whatever. I don't care about their story. So where does it go from here? My mind goes immediately to they're just going to make Aliens again. And like, why haven't they?
Apparently they're supposed to make something called Alien Earth.
They showed a preview for that and in my theater. Actually,
Really?
I wanted to ask you guys about that. So it was like a 3 or 4 second, maybe 10 at the most teaser. And it was the shot of the Earth being reflected on something. And then you kind of realize as it's moving, the thing is moving up, that it's actually the reflection of the Earth on the top of the alien's carapace, like on the top of his head. And it kind of moves up and it goes, and it's Alien Earth, summer 2025. And that's a Hulu thing. But, and now they're finally taking the aliens to Earth, which means...
Is this independent of that series that Noah Hawley is doing?
No, that is I believe that is the series. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, who cares? I mean, I'm gonna watch it because it's fucking Alien universe, but like,
and it's Noah Hawley. He actually knows how to write stuff.
It's not going to be the Earth War that we want. It's not going to be the Dark Horse comics.
No.
And they've been promising that since Alien 3. When they first had the posters for Alien 3, it said, this time it's hiding in the most terrifying place of all. I don't find, and I've said this many times before, I don't find Sigourney Weaver's stomach to be that terrifying. I figure it was going to be Earth. And they even had, like, it was tied in with the poster or with the really early teaser preview. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be fantastic. And yeah, they've been on Earth with Alien versus Predator and Alien, what was it, versus Predator? That
the movie nobody saw because it was so dark and not lit.
Yeah, you're right. I went to the theater. I can't say I saw the movie.
Correct.
But yeah, it was, oh God, that was awful. I really like the first Alien versus Predator. And that was kind of cool that it was all isolated and kind of, a little bit like The Thing that we're doing this down in Antarctica. I was like, oh, all right, this is kind of nice.
And that's its own fucking timeline too, by the way. That exists separate from Alien and Predator. That is not, they're not canon either. Alien and AVP Requiem are their own thing, separate from everything, on top of everything else.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And I'm really, the thing that was getting me was this whole, we need to explain what Wayland and Yutani are, and that we have like, oh, Mr. Wayland's joining us. Oh, bring that box to Mr. Yutani. I was like, I don't give a shit, guys. Just get the fuck on with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder why they've never done another Colonial Marines thing, like why they've never just gone down that road. Like, of all the things, just get a bunch of semi-charismatic actors together, throw them into an Aliens-esque setting, and just have like the Radio Silence guys who did those Scream sequels and Abigail, have them do it. Like, they know how to work and write for like an ensemble cast of people, clearly, and they could do it. And look, they actually have a sense of fun to what they do, as opposed to it being just kind of grimdark and serious. I'm not saying Alien Romulus was grimdark and serious, but It's trying to be Alien. It's not trying to be Aliens. There's not necessarily the sense of fun that you get from Aliens, which is, I think, a action and fun movie in a lot of ways that almost nothing else in the franchise ever gets to, because everything else is kind of doing its own thing or trying to just be a horror movie. I think that that's where this needs to go. Like, take that and just do the Aliens thing again. Why not? What's the worst that could happen? You get a entertaining action movie with semi-charismatic actors or really charismatic actors fighting aliens for 2 hours. I mean, it worked for James Cameron. You're telling me someone hasn't thought in the last 40 years to just do that again? I don't get it. I mean, I like Alien, but why do we need to redo Alien? Why not just redo Aliens? Is there not more room with that to do more? No? Like, okay, we'll just have them shooting aliens a little bit in this movie. That's evocative of Aliens. I mean, not really, but in the scheme of this movie versus Alien, yes, they have guns in this movie. They are shooting aliens. That never happens in Alien. He literally goes, what does he say? He's like, rig up some of those incinerators, which that line always made me think like these aren't even a thing that they're ever using for anything other than like a technical purpose. It's not to defend themselves. So like
they're in a cargo ship. They don't need weapons.
Exactly. It's like, okay, Aliens is such a fun movie because it's like now the aliens are the ones that are outmatched until you realize that's not the case so clearly. But that's because James Cameron actually took a right instead of going left. And I want someone to do that with this franchise at this point, because it's not that the aliens aren't scary, far from it, but the alien has been scary in other things so successfully. I don't think anyone else can do it as well anymore. Clearly. With something like this, they tried and it's like, sure, it's kind of scary. No. It's kind of entertaining, but like the original Alien will never be matched in actually being unsettling and creepy and disturbing and creating a sense of dread throughout the movie that can't be escaped because you're on a fucking space station cargo ship, however, whatever it is.
Yeah, but this one could have gotten there had it not been saddled with all of the worst characters and all of the sort of bullshit fan service and all that kind of nonsense. Like,
It's the closest it's gotten since Alien.
I want it to take a right turn as well, but I don't think we need to make Aliens again. Like, I want them to do something interesting that we haven't seen before. Like, stop fucking like echoing all of the shit from the past. We've been there already. Like, do something new.
I have an idea here. What if Kaylee Spaney and Andy, there was a face hugger on board?
Yeah.
And let's say that they crashed on like a wood planet. Okay. And let's say that the face hugger got Kaylee Spaney. How would you feel about that, Father Malone? Too close to Alien 3?
I would, you know what? I would ask, everything after Aliens doesn't make any sense to me, because how does an alien get on the fucking Sulaco?
Yeah,
magic.
An egg,
plot,
like
plot
don't they show eggs like falling over, like with flames going and stuff? How did they get there? The queen, we see her tear away from her ovipositor and come running after Ripley, and then gets on the ship. Where did the fucking eggs come from?
I wish I knew. I
Yeah.
mean, you would think that of all the things Ripley would do, she would make sure there's no goddamn aliens on that ship before
They have
take
motion
off.
trackers. They would just walk around the ship. And smart characters acting stupid is a great way to get your sequel to a movie rolling in the wrong direction.
That's this movie too. When they're trying to go through, first off, it cracks me up that we're still using Fahrenheit in space here. That's fantastic. To get the room up to 98.6 Fahrenheit, walk through this thing, and then have your fucking radio on, and that doesn't immediately trigger because they're like, oh, they're attracted to sound, but really more it's the heat. So I'm like, oh, but yet he's just basically having a conversation with the pregnant lady. And I'm like, shut the fuck up and get out of there, you idiot.
Yeah, I thought just her through the speaker would be enough to trigger them.
Yeah.
It would be him going like, please stop talking, stop. Like, that scene should have been successful, and it was not for me. The trek through Facehugger Hollow.
Yeah, it was basically when they swim under the ship. Not the Betty. Betty was the ship that they came in on, but in Alien Resurrection, when they go underneath and they're in the cafeteria and coming up on the other side, I'm like, oh, this is kind of like that. Like, we have to go through this impossible area and we don't know what's going to happen. But no, we'll fuck that up too.
Look, it's gonna check enough boxes for enough people, and
I've seen people like, oh, I'm going to see it for a third time today. I'm like, wow, okay,
God bless. If we can get a Colonial Marines television series out of this, like maybe just a limited show, like, I'm sure those Marines fought more than aliens. They seem to have a history with with aliens prior to the xenomorph. You know what I mean? Like they were clearly unprepared for it, but it doesn't mean that they haven't tangled with other things.
Yeah.
Right.
Is this going to be another bug hunt?
Yeah.
And then they've got that, what is it, Arcturian pussy that they're after? Doesn't matter if it's Arcturian.
Yeah. Man or woman, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that because I like you've clearly alluded to in Aliens in the hangar scene, they're like, it's another bug hunt. There might be a xenomorph. It's like, okay, so they know. Like there's some awareness. The term xenomorph, these guys don't just go, "Wah!" when they hear it. They're kind of like a little nonplussed, it would seem. So, but again, xenomorph is, again, that's the other thing about this franchise that immediately, like when people are talking about it, like the xenomorph actually is the alien. That's just the name that they're giving broadly to aliens in this series in general. Like the xenomorph's not actually the name of the alien at all. It never has been. That's like, I think the one time it's used in the entire original 4 movies is in Aliens when they say xenomorph, because I guess James Cameron was like, we have to say xenomorph for whatever reason. But xenomorph is not the name of the alien. That's never been actually the name. That's just what they're talking about in that scene. But all aliens broadly in the alien universe are xenomorphs. Because
that's because the alien was really, really selfish. And he said, I'll just take that. Alien.
That's my name.
That's mine now. If you refer to an alien, you're talking about me. And you know what? He's right.
Well, it's that whole thing, Baby Yoda is not actually a Yoda. Yoda is something, but we don't know what he is. And so that's not a Baby Yoda. Come on, guys. It really makes me mad. Come on. Just call him Grogu. Don't dead name Grogu.
Wow. Here I am nitpicking. I feel like such an asshole. Hey, I hope we get more alien stuff. We clearly are, but maybe not this. Maybe not Alien again. Right? I mean, Predator has had, like, all these movies have had so many missteps at this point. Like, we haven't mentioned the one franchise that this does get compared to, and I think now it's kind of broken away from being compared to it, but there was a time where this franchise was compared to Terminator in the same breath. And we're like,
Terminator has fought aliens in the comics.
Yeah, they sure have. And I believe at one point the Terminator and the Alien and the Predator squared off with each other. But
wait, are you saying one is better than another?
What?
Are you saying one franchise is better?
No, I'm saying that I think that Alien has broken free from the problems that Terminator now has more than ever. But I don't think that's, it's broken free maybe a couple degrees, but I still think they're still spinning in gravity, about to slam into the same planet. I think Terminator is just a lot further along with how bad everything has been since Terminator 2. And there are how many Terminator movies since? Like, you said it yourself, Father Malone, like, since Aliens, none of this really has mattered in any substantive way, to the point where they retconned the beginning of Alien 3. I don't know if you guys know about that, but in the Alien Colonial Marines game, which is canon,
I remember.
Hicks is still alive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that's well,
in the comic books, Hicks and Newt are still alive. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you mean the characters from Aliens, the second best movie in this franchise, they didn't deserve to die off screen? Really?
Yeah. That is all such Hill and Giler stuff. I mean, Walter Hill, I love a lot of his work, but him and Aliens do not go together well. Like while I was doing my research on Alien 3, every bad decision was coming right from those two.
Giler is such a fucking dick. And he tried so hard to make sure Dan O'Bannon didn't get a fucking credit. And every time I see him on those documentaries that I watch every now and then about this franchise, it makes me so angry that they gave him any amount of screen time and he can just sit there and talk about this franchise like he has anything to do with it other than being a fucking parasitic fish on the side of a shark or whale just hanging on while everybody else is going for a ride. Because I'm with you. So much of this is just attributed to idiots who have no idea what they're doing, but they were successful in other avenues, so they get to say they have their say. And it's like, fuck this shit. Come on.
Look, there were a lot of contributors to that first Alien movie and what made it successful. And to their credit, and I think it's Walter Hill more than Dave Giler, he made it more working class. They're like basically space truckers and like, give me my shares. Like, let's talk about the bonus situation. Like that came from them. And I appreciate that. But the rest of it's fucking O'Bannon, except for the chest burster. That's Ronald Shusett. And so like, but then like, the next movie is a singular vision because Cameron writes and directs it. And then everything after that is just stumbling and falling down because nobody has shown up and gone, here's what the movie needs to be. And them saying, okay, go ahead and do that. It's all by committee now. So
the committee has spoken, and I guess they wanted fan service until there's nothing else.
Cornbread?
If she don't like the cornbread either.
No, me either. None of us do. God, but that dipper bird, guys. I'm glad I saw it again in this series. I was wondering where it was this whole time. Anything else we want to talk about with this movie now that we've thoroughly destroyed it?
I liked it. I think it's worth a watch. I don't think you should go out to theaters and see it, but it's no worse than a couple of the other Alien movies. What's been passing for Alien movies in my estimation of late.
Hey, I would say, when it shows up on Hulu, go ahead and watch it the way that it was intended to be watched.
That's horrible. Watch it dumped on Hulu where it deserved to be. Yeah, I'm in agreement with y'all. I think if this is something you're really passionate and motivated about, if you're a fan of the Alien franchise, I think it might. I don't know. I think you're going to be 50-50. You might either be able to overlook some of the stuff and really appreciate it, because I have close friends that are big fans of the franchise that really enjoyed it. And then there's people like ourselves who are equally as big fans of the franchise that did not enjoy it because it's not that we wanted something different. It's that the movie should have known better than to do some of the things that just don't need to be trotted out again at this point in the history of the franchise. Cause it's not like Ghostbusters where there's 30 years between the movies. Like there was an Alien movie that came out 5 years ago. Like, why are we doing legacy sequel baiting and fan service shit when Alien movies have actually been coming out? Like it doesn't make any sense. This is a sequel to Alien is what this wants to be. And that's what it is. And in a lot of ways, it being a legacy sequel to Alien is the big overriding problem with this movie. If it had not been an Alien legacy sequel, I think we would have enjoyed this movie a lot more because it's been giving itself a lot more room to do interesting things with. And instead it just wants to be an Alien sequel, which is fine.
Yep. But you know what?
I didn't want that.
I think what we got here, I think you're right, both of you, about the sort of the studio meddling. The more I think about it now, I think somewhere in between dealing with a studio that really wants a hard reboot of this series and wants to bring back all the fans because they're trying to put distance between them and the fucking previous two Ridley Scott movies. Like you have them on one side, and on the other side you have Ridley Scott. So like, how do you satisfy both those masters? And like, in that light, this is a tremendous success. But I would like to have seen what Fede Alvarez would have done without any fealty to either side. Just take the characters, take the alien, and then do whatever the hell you want with it. I want to see that movie very, very much.
That's called 2014's Evil Dead. It really is. Like the amount of fan service in that movie is negligible at best. There's a Necronomicon, and that's about it. And there's a cabin in the woods, and that's about it. Like,
and don't forget the post-credit sequence.
Right. Also that. But to be fair, it's a post-credit sequence at least.
That was the only part of the movie I enjoyed.
With Ash at the end, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, sorry. I'm not a big fan of that movie.
I mean, I get it. I understand. I mean, the original Evil Dead
I love it.
I'm with you. I'm with Father Malone. I like it a lot, but I can understand where someone like yourself, Mike, who's a fan of the franchise as a whole, similarly to this, like you're either going to like it or you're not. There's not going to be a lot of middle ground there. And I am with Father Malone. I like 2014's Evil Dead, but it is the right way to do a legacy sequel without any of the fan baiting and nostalgic bullshit. Because again, like they didn't have Bruce Campbell walk in stage right and be like, "Hey, everybody, it's me. I'm Ash. Remember?" Oh no. I mean, and then that's the right way to do it. But that movie shows
up at the very end. He's just like, "Out of my way. I've handled these Deadites before."
Yeah, just like Ghostbusters Afterlife. They just show up in the last frame of the movie to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Or are we done with this one?
I think we're done.
All right, Mike, take us home. Take us to Zeta Reticulon 4.
Well, I want to thank my co-host on this episode this week where we are talking about Alien Romulus. So, Mr. Chris Stachiw, please tell us, what are you up to these days, sir?
I am doing audio diversions over at weirdingwaymedia.com while the Kulturecast is in its 10th year. It's been a hell of a year for me personally, and I haven't been able to uphold my end of the bargain in terms of posting all the time, but that's okay. Sometimes life happens, but for the most part, yeah, Weirding Way Media is where you can find everything that I work on, other than one place, which is over at Patreon, where you can find Rankin' on Bond at the $10 level on Mike's Patreon. And
the audio commentary. It's a dying art form, but here at One Track Mind, I, your wonky yet affable host Ryan Luis Rodriguez, analyze film through the prism of these embryonic forms of podcasting, one audio commentary at a time. Masterpieces, crapster pieces, live action, animation, cult classics, films literally no one has ever heard of. No track is too small and no track is too big. Join me and my guests from the entertainment world as we keep these features alive every other Tuesday. Hey, who else is going to discuss Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey one week and Citizen Kane the next? Us, that's who. Sure, you have to put up with my voice, but there's a certain give and take in this industry. That's One Track Mind, part of the Someone's Favorite Productions family and available wherever you get your podcasts.
Mine, which is once a month we talk about James Bond movies. And Father Malone, you're coming up on an episode here pretty quick. About 2 episodes from now, we're going to be talking about Live and Let Die. So if that gives you an idea as to where we are in the Bond franchise run, that'll give you an idea of what you can expect when you go on over to our respective. So what about you, Father Malone? What can people find, and what can they find, and where can they find it?
Well, like y'all, it's weirdingwaymedia.com. Check out Midnight Viewing. That's my show over there. That is a twice-a-week show. Mondays is Father Malone's Weekly Roundup, where I do current and streaming titles. And every Friday alternates between the Horror Anthology podcast, which I do with these two gentlemen. Right now, we're looking at Tales from the Dark Side. In fact, this Friday, we're starting off season 2 of Tales from the Dark Side. And the other show is Anthologies Attack, which I do with co-host Antonio Lepore, where we look at anthologies of every variety. We just did Pulp Fiction. And I actually don't know what we're doing next. But anyway, you can find us there, find Midnight Viewing. If you go to patreon.com/Father Malone, you can subscribe or support me or whatever you want to do.
The madman that is Father Malone, podcasting twice a week now. Holy fuck, bro. What? Wow.
Yeah. I thought I was busy, but apparently not. Apparently you're the one throwing down the gauntlet now.
Yeah, God, good Lord, dude. Twice a week is a bit much, but kudos to you for making it work.
I'm very tired.
I was just looking at my calendar, and I thought we were recording about Beetlejuice in early September, but I don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, I have it on my calendar somewhere.
We're going to have to.
Yeah. Well, if you could forward that over, Father Malone, I'd appreciate it. But until then, I want to thank everybody for listening. Like Chris was saying, please check out our Patreons at patreon.com/projection booth or patreon.com/culturecast. Make sure you make a donation. If you can't afford that, please give us a rating and review over on iTunes. It helps out the show. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and take care.
Well, I came back after all. Look at that. Stranger things have happened. I hope you enjoyed the crossoverness of the previous episode. I'm glad I got to come back, though, to wrap things up, because there's one point I didn't make during the broadcast that I wish I had, which is in Fede Alvarez's movies that really worked for me, when we're talking about The Evil Dead and Don't Breathe. The reason those work so well is because they are centered by Jane Levy, who is fantastic. She has all the vulnerability and all the toughness of all the great movie heroines. And if she had been the center of Alien Romulus, it would be a great fucking movie. There would still be plot holes aplenty, but I would care about at least one human being in the course of the film. Anyway, that's where we leave you. And Ripley, anything to say? No, she's just staring at me because she's hungry. This is Father Malone for Father Malone's Weekly Roundup saying, let me throw in a quote from Blue Thunder. I finally found out what Jaffo means. Just another fucking observer.